Why is this momentous, this IPO for Ghana?
Well, it's a big event not only for Ghana, but I think for Africa as a whole. I think if we take a step back and we look at globally, we all know that global environment's one of risk aversion with so much uncertainty. And across Africa, the big stories this year have typically been quite negative. We've had the North Africa crises, we've had the problems in Ivory Coast, we've had elections, and all that's resulted in depressed volumes. So now what we're seeing is obviously a well-known firm, international firm, listing on the local stock exchange. So I think it's huge. It's huge for the country as well.
Do we get a sense that the market's responding well to this IPO? I know that they're going to be offering 4 million shares, but they've actually expanded that bracket if there's an oversubscription.
Correct, yeah, and I think all indications are that it will be oversubscribed. It opened today, as you were saying, it's the first day. There's about 3 or 4 weeks left for people to put in their orders, and it was nice. It was a very diverse set of interest into the IPO from locals, because remember, one of the benefits of the listing and one of the actual characteristics is to benefit the local community and the local people and the local employees of Tullow. But not only that, you're having a lot of interest from frontier funds, you're having a lot of interest from globals, because it is a name that people know.
Now, they say that they're also going to be offering the shares that are listed on the London and Irish exchanges. What does that mean?
Well, all it means is that the shares are fully fungible, So what it means is you could, in theory, buy in Ghana and sell in London. That produces a key risk to having dual listed stocks, because obviously there might be arbitrage opportunities. It's very costly and very difficult to obviously maneuver. You've got to know the ins and outs of each market. Problem you find with that, and we saw it with Shoprite Zambia, was a lot of people were buying in Zambia, bringing it to the JSE and selling it here and making money like that. And in fact, Shoprite Zambia actually put a ceiling on it eventually. So you might find that Tullow puts a ceiling on that. But at the moment, they launched it with a price today of a 2.6% discount to London, which is not very, not very diverse, obviously. Right. So obviously, I think what we'll do is see with time how closely related they are.
A lot of companies, if they're not quite sure how the market will respond, go in with an introductory listing, no shares trading, just to get a sense of the pricing. Given that oil only started flowing in Ghana on the 17th of December, so it's really an industry that's about 6 months old. Yeah. What would be fair value here?
Well, I don't know. I think initially it will definitely probably trade very closely to the London listing, but we know that oil is such a huge story for Ghana and West Africa. There's so much going on there, and obviously the oil is starting to flow through. So it's an exciting time. I think initially in the short term it'll probably track London quite closely, but then we'll probably actually trade more in line with the Ghana market after that.
Now, obviously, this introduces a very key component to the GSE, which is really dominated by financials and telecommunications stocks. The state-owned oil company that's been trading hasn't been doing particularly well, and that's because many investors wanted to see the oil flow. They didn't want, they wanted to see productive assets. Tullow's now bringing productive assets to the market, but is that going to be an influencing variable? What else are investors going to be considering?
No, I think it will be an influencing factor, quite rightly, but I think investors still always go back to the banks simply because it's a liquidity issue. We know that in Ghana, the biggest problem that it's faced in terms of the stock exchange is liquidity. They increased the trading hours from 3 to 5 hours a few months ago. That didn't really help. It's very difficult to work orders into that market. They typically do trade in blocks, and still foreign investors still go for the bigger names like GCB. And the nice thing with that is, oil, the banks are going to benefit from the oil. Plus with the improved infrastructure on the roads. I don't know if you last went to Ghana, there's so much going on there, and obviously the banks reap the benefits on the back of it. So I think, yes, hopefully Tullow does improve things, but I still think the demand for financials will be there.
We've seen a lot of Africa funds wanting to get into Ghana because they want to really, benefit from this perceived oil bonanza. We're told that growth by the end of this year would be 12%. So it's probably going to be the highest GDP figure we're seeing in Africa. But is all of this overly exaggerated? Are we just putting a little bit of hyperbole on things here?
Well, I think so, but it's nice to get some good news out of the continent. As I said, this year has been one of poor news. I think the demand is quite there. As you say, there's a lot going on there, not just on the back of oil, but if you ever go there, the roads are being built, the shops are all looking great, these big shopping centers going up. And actually through our corporate finance team, we've actually got a very close relationship with the oil industry there. Their current ports in Tema and somewhere else, and then now we've got a new port being developed, which our corporate finance team is doing. And it's interesting because not only will that be a port, but it will also be a refinery and oil servicing area. So there's a lot of demand and a lot of money, as you say, is coming in the private equity fields and not necessarily on the exchange, and that's coming from all around the world. A lot of Asian money is flowing into there as well. So it's interesting.
You know, that whole area of the Gulf of Guinea's got about 3 zones of oil producers. There's Nigeria, which is obviously the largest. There's Equatorial Guinea, almost on the coast. There's Ghana now, and a little bit in Ivory Coast. How does Ghana compare?
Well, I think time will tell. You know, I think potentially it's huge. You know, I don't know the figures offhand, I suppose, but you know, it's obviously is massive. You know, it's a massive fund, and that's why you get companies like Tullow, you know, which is obviously one of the biggest respected names in the industry. So I think the potential is huge, and obviously time will tell.